IVM.
Great to have you guys back, and great to have you guys back as well. Shivram and Karthik Iyer with me, talking about the most boring week of football in this season, at least for me. So boring that we couldn't even think of a name, but Iyer came to the rescue as always, things that he does, and he's called this episode Batti Gul Meter Chalu.
Yes.
I'm guessing it comes from the fact that Iyer's been...
Don't guess. Wait. Don't say anything. Karthik,
We should
tell
not
us.
guess.
Tell us,
Right,
Karthik, how to do.
It's more like what we have seen in midweek, and now the matches are getting fewer and fewer. So the lights are going down on the Premier League, but the meter is still on. That means there are a few games still happening, and still our motor is still running as we speak. Yeah, good one, right?
Too logical and not funny at all. So it's not. I don't know. I mean, it works, but it works like the vaccine, right?
Try your hand at a good corporate career, man. I mean, the gift of gab that you have to make up shit. Like,
I don't know about. I'm divided on that, but okay.
We'll go with that. I think let's give it to Iyer. I think fantastic name. Not that we've named before, so lovely, unique in that sense. And you have a reason to do it, which is better than what we do otherwise as well. We're not going to talk about the games this week.
Before you start, you said it's boring, but from everything I've seen and I've read and I've heard, didn't we have the best match of the Premier League season this weekend?
You're talking about the Arsenal game, or?
No. I'm talking about Tottenham versus Liverpool, right? The match that ended 2-2, widely regarded as the best match of the season so far.
Are you just reading from an article? Is it because you didn't watch it?
I'm actually reading from your WhatsApp chats with Karan, a friend of the podcast.
Widely regarded between the two people who text on the group. Highlights FC.
Yeah, no, English media, you know them, right? How they talk about it. One London club under an Italian manager, and Liverpool.
Let's be real. Total 4 games happened. This was the one which had the most, it was the most hyper of the games. Otherwise, everything else was pretty one-sided. So I can see why this was deemed as leave it to English media to call the draw the most exciting game of the weekend, right? That says a lot.
Absolutely. So, you know what? Since you brought it up, we'll talk about it. We'll just quickly take a break, come back on the other side. For me, it was a little more, because it was controversial, they called it like the game of the season so far. But let's talk about it on the other side.
$100. That's all it takes to begin your journey with Bitcoin and Ethereum. No, really. With CoinSwitch, you can start investing in over 100 cryptocurrencies with just 100 rupees. On top of that, there are zero charges for deposits and withdrawals, so you can trade, buy, sell, however and whenever you want. All of this, plus their extremely intuitive interface, makes CoinSwitch the perfect app for beginners in the crypto space. But don't take my word for it. Just download CoinSwitch for free and try it out for yourself. If you'd like more information on cryptocurrencies, tune into a show about crypto with me, Rohan Joshi, my new adventure on IVM podcasts. CoinSwitch, kuch to badlega.
Iyer, I'm not going to ask you the question because you didn't watch the match. You're relying on WhatsApp chats, which is what a lot of Indian media outlets also do.
You know what? I was just thinking about this today. This will only happen in India, So when they were talking about the WhatsApp chats, what they would do is, in a normal, I would guess, even in someone who's, not as fluent with tech, everyone knows how to take a screenshot, but only in Indian media do they take a printout of the screenshot, which is the printer, which is already, the toner is low, right? The message is flashing on there. And then there's half is color, half is black and white. And then they're using a Xerox of that to use between all of them. So, which is, I think, a good reflection of the media. Sorry.
No. Not diverging at all. Controversial, right? Which is what the game was also all about.
True.
What you just spoke about as well. Let's start with the decision. I'll get to Klopp and his angst and he's bemoaning that it goes on and on. We'll come to it later. But about the game, I didn't see the first half of it, so I don't know how it was. I haven't even gone back and seen the highlights after watching the second half of the game because I thought it's not worth it. But it's divided, right? I mean, Kane, of course, is very humble about the fact.
Wait, it's divided between whom? Kane and the rest of the world.
No, I mean,
is it not logical person and Kane, or?
No, so I'm guessing it is divided between Spurs haters and Liverpool haters. I don't think there are So
Not
that's where it
really.
comes from.
No, I mean, again, it's just like if you had watched the game or even the highlights, you would have seen Kane's very, very horrible
I saw the
tackle.
tackle. I saw the tackle. I didn't see the highlights of the first
Yeah, you
one. I
saw the tackle, right? And did you see Kane's interview right after?
Yeah, he said he got the ball.
He said, I got
Tough
the
game
ball.
for him.
And he also said, if you slow it down, sometimes it looks worse than what it is. No, in real time also, it looked pretty bad. It was very, very bad on any other day. If it's not Harry Kane, who's the English captain, it is a straight red. VAR, no VAR, whoever you want to ask, it is a straight red. I think the referee on the halftime show, even he was struggling to, give, because usually I get why he's siding with the referees. He's also a little biased being an ex-referee, and I'm guessing referee unions have some pull over your pension rights. But all that being said, he was saying because Robertson jumped at the last moment, because Robertson was lifting the ball, maybe it feels like it was a little higher. No, it was a studs-up challenge with his feet going directly. It could have been a career-ending tackle for if it had gone the wrong way. So it should have been a straight red. So, and after that, Kane has the audacity to say that, if you slow it down, it looks worse than what it is. No, it should have been a straight red. And that should have been the end of that. But here we are discussing the world is divided somehow. No, it's not. It's either logical or you're Harry Kane. So, that is my case.
Fair point. I thought maybe because I rely on Twitter too much, I thought the world is divided because my Twitter timeline is between Liverpool supporters and Liverpool haters. So maybe that's the reason why it was. You saw the tackles. Correct. So you saw the tackles, if not the match. I'm guessing you saw the highlights. So Shivram is convinced that it was a red card, as many others are convinced as well.
It was a red card. Like Shivram was saying about the fact, the reason why they didn't give it is because they said that Robertson jumped to probably save himself, and maybe he saved himself a lot of damage by jumping. So basically, you're incentivized to get physically hurt so that the other one guy gets sent off. If Robertson had stood his ground and got hurt, badly hurt, is only when Harry Kane would have got sent off, which is just stupid.
It's convenient, right? And plus, the Harry Kane also used to do this. He exhibits this behavior, right? And you've seen this many times. There are a bunch of compilations of this. When Harry Kane, when he was in his goal scoring form, he would actually line up against an aerial ball near the opponent's D, where he would basically lean in to the jumping defender and he would bend over. So what happens is, then the defender jumping by himself, and then he's basically falling over Harry Kane. So Harry Kane gets the foul. Plus, the defender is basically just falling flat on his back. And he's done this many times and he ends up winning the foul. So, if there is a pattern, this is it. So, he's never been penalized for that. He's been called out many times on social. But that's about it. I don't think he's always gotten the foul for him. So, it is pretty biased. So, I get it is the English Premier League. He is the England captain. He hasn't really seen much form lately.
You're right. What the tackle wasn't shocking. It is typical Harry Kane. Sapre, what was shocking is Harry Kane scored a goal in that match. Which was
I was about to come to that point, Shivram. Gladly you clarified. I thought he was getting desperate with the lack of goals, etc. So he's flying away with tackles. But no, that wasn't the case also, because he did score a goal, which is shocking for Klopp as well. Right, Van Dijk ne no problem. Kane bhi nahi khel raha, so
but now they also have Robertson out, by the way, so that defense is highly. I think Van Dijk might be back
No,
by the end of this week. Oh, he's not back yet. So whenever he recovers from COVID,
he's out for this game week at least, and so is Fabinho, who otherwise could have played centre back, so he's not playing as well. But Tsimikas, in the absence of Robertson, played pretty well. FPL-wise also he played pretty well. Otherwise also the defense was fine.
How FPL-wise he played pretty well? He got 0 points. He got a yellow card in the 10 minutes he was on.
Earlier when he played in the absence.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's a budget buy. But I'm guessing anyone who plays FPL well already has Trent, Salah and Jota in their team. So that's 3 Liverpool players already. So who will you take out to get Tsimikas? It'll be a mistake to drop any one of them, because all of them have increased in price so much, you'll end up losing value. And if you get them back, you'll end up paying that much more. So you're not gaining much. And is Tsimikas that good a decision for the short run? At the start of the season, sure. Right? Because Firmino was fit, Jota was fit, Salah was fit, and Jota wasn't getting as many minutes. And normally Firmino doesn't have that goal scoring form. So it made sense to have maybe Tsimikas in the short run, also good run of fixtures. Now, I don't know if you would make that choice, except if you're playing a free hit, which we will get to. But other than that, I don't think you would go with Tsimikas, because who would you take out, right?
I think good you brought the point up of fixtures lined up, because That is the other thing that Klopp was complaining about. One, of course, he went up to the referee and said, "I don't have a problem with anybody else but you." Is the referee, Karthik, is the referee authorized to give a red card in a situation like this?
I mean, he should have. When Ancelotti did the same thing, Ancelotti was sent off post-game. When Mourinho did the same thing, Mourinho was sent off post-game. Why was Klopp just given a free rein? There is a bias towards Harry Kane. There's a bias towards Jurgen Klopp as well. When it comes to just saying, he says some absolute random things in his press conferences and sometimes about referees and about.
But the one thing that we can get behind is the fact that everyone should get the vaccine, right? That's what he said.
I'm talking about the football,
Yeah.
football wise. I'm not talking about his general demeanor. He gives excuse about snow, rain, wind, hail, sun, storm. He will go and tell referees whatever he feels like it. And it's the same thing. The Ancelotti incident that you reminded us of, Sapre, yesterday, I went and watched it. It was the exact same thing. Ancelotti went and spoke to the referee and said it was your fault and he got sent off. How was this different?
I like Klopp, so I'm okay.
Players have been sent off for saying stuff like this. Maybe the
players
referee
should, honestly, I think football has a problem with this. In a manly, thuggish sport like rugby, they use even one foul word, they're off. They're in a sin bin for 15 minutes, or they're
Can
probably
we say
sent off as
manly
well.
anymore? Isn't that like sexist?
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, they're huge, bulky, burly men, beer. Whoa. So it's fine.
So you're just describing a bear as what to describe it. I don't think this is a barely game and not a manly game.
You just made me realize the power the audio has. Lovely.
These guys they constantly abuse referees. No wonder people are not taking up refereeing at a grassroots level anymore. And I think it's time maybe this sport will go in a way where you'll stop having on-field referees pretty soon. Yeah, tech refs.
You guys remember the 2017 fixture where Antonio Conte was sent off? Chelsea were playing Swansea, and he was just sent off for just yelling at the fourth official for the fact that why did you give them a goal kick where it clearly hit the defender and went back, so it should be a corner. And he's just like animated, right? It's not he's done it for the first time or these are his antics. That's how Conte is. And he was given a straight red and asked to go be in the stand. So I mean, Klopp has been talking shit about referees throughout this season, a little in the previous season as well. This latest bit, and now he's, like I said, bemoaning about the fixture congestion and they have to play 2 games in about 4 days with.
I don't think it's as much about referees.
Side,
it's as much. I think it's a semblance of pushing against the system. It's like a revolt against authority is what it is. He's like a rebel with a cause. So I think it's more symbolic versus not like referee is not going to change his mind right after the game. So I think it's more for the cameras and it's meant to, rally his team. And you know what happened when Arteta went up against Klopp, right? Like you saw what happened. Arsenal got dispatched like Robertson trying to get out of a tackle from Harry Kane. But that is, I think, what the end goal is. It's not meant to do anything at the moment. It's meant to rally the team. So I get why he does it. Any manager would do it. You've seen Mourinho, Wenger have at it. Neither of them got a warning for that. I mean, that was pretty aggressive from Wenger, especially. I will never forget that, him pushing Mourinho back.
That was a different era, right? I mean, things have changed the previous decade also. Previous decade, to be very honest.
It was literally this decade, man. Mourinho, how old are you?
No, it was before 2010, right?
No, it was 3 years ago. 2 years ago.
Second spell.
Oh, it was second spell at Chelsea. Okay, I thought it was the first.
No,
I thought Arsene Wenger had calmed down by the time Mourinho came back.
No, he actually got more and more aggressive with Mourinho because Mourinho kept shitting on those press conferences, and that's when he came up with the specialist in failure on that. That's when he got one on the streets. You don't mess with Wenger. He's like 6'10" or something. Plus, he can speak like 6 languages. So Mourinho can only speak loser. So that is not going to help.
Lovely. So that was almost about the game by itself was fine. I mean, Adrian had a couple of Alisson had a couple of really good saves.
Adrian would be glad that you remember him.
Yeah. No, I do remember him. Because
the game was not fine, Sapre. The game was the best game of the Premier League we've seen so far this season.
According to a WhatsApp chat between 2 friends. Okay. So
it was it was like basketball, right? It was ping-ponging. So it was surprising that Tottenham were actually bringing it. And Liverpool were letting them bring it at some point in time. So that is what felt odd because you've seen Pool crash and burn for the longest time. And now Liverpool were really solid at the back. So it felt not, ordinary anymore. So that's why it was great. But I mean, other games were fantastic, right? Arsenal dispatched Leeds 4-1, where Ben White decided to wipe all our clean sheets away. And City
What
also.
a fucking ass, man.
Hey, I've had Ramsdale and Ben White for like 10 game weeks. This is not the first time he's done it. But like I've gotten 8 other clean sheets, so I'm not complaining, right? So you are, because you woke up just now. But for everyone else, I think they've done a fantastic job. I know David Seaman is actually coming back at Arsenal. They re-signed him for his work with Aaron Ramsdale. He also worked with Bernd Leno. No one seems to talk about that, but everyone focused on Ramsdale.
Didn't he play the AFL fixture?
Leno played, That's when they let in the 1 goal, 4-1, 5-1, right? Yeah, Sunderland.
So I don't think there were any other games that were worth watching. The only, since you also mentioned Leeds,
Chelsea drop points. Chelsea
again,
are pretty much again.
It's not a surprise anymore. But Wolves aren't conceding as many goals. They've had changes in manager, but even Wolves weren't conceding too many goals when Nuno was managing the team. So that's
Wolves draw against Chelsea is 3 points. Wolves drawing against Chelsea is huge, right?
Yeah,
for Chelsea, it's also dropping 3 points. It's terrible for them.
So the thing is, they can't. They're not able to keep clean sheets. Chelsea. The only way for them to win is to score more, and against a Wolves side who hasn't been considering as many goals in the previous fixture. So that's not surprising to me.
Wolves do not score goals. Wolves do not concede goals. What is the point of them? There should be some sort of rule. Yeah, minimum 20 games. You have to score 30 goals. Out of the league. Take it. Minus 6 points. There needs to be some sort of.
Arsenal are finally in positive. Goal difference.
Yeah.
I think it's okay. Even if you're conceding, you're making it entertaining. The Wolves are anti-football.
How can they be called Wolves?
I'll tell you the funniest thing. Yesterday, for anyone who watched the Carabao Cup, Sunderland played Arsenal. Sunderland has 11 white athletes. I'm guessing everyone on the bench. I didn't check, but I think everyone else was also white. They did not take the knee. I read a tweet which said, that guy went down far more easily, like on the pitch for a foul than he, because he had trouble taking a knee. But the funniest part is Sunderland is called Black Cats. So, I mean, it's not adding up somewhere. But yeah, that was really weird.
Too much about Arsenal.
I know we're talking about the top 4 teams, right? So I thought that's why I should bring it up. If you don't want me to talk about the top 4, tell me. We can talk about the top 6 if you want, like for United, who has decided not to play football anymore.
Yeah, they just don't play.
On Twitter vacations.
We don't want to play football. Then they open the stadium. Half the players are not showing up. They're giving interviews.
Don't you have like 25-man squad? Why does 4 people, 5 people getting COVID really derail your entire season?
Yeah. So this happened, right? Like players got COVID. Brighton, United, their matches got postponed. Leeds United went to the Premier League and said, not really COVID and all. We have 11 players who are injured. Can you postpone? Again, Premier League said, no. You go play against Arsenal.
And the funniest thing, they kept saying, Leeds ka age is this much, Leeds ka age is this much. Still higher than Arsenal's average age.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what is the case?
I mean, you're probably bringing on some 37-year-old from some guy who's played no games ever. So I have some sympathy for Leeds, but not a lot, because this has been a problem for them throughout the season. Now it's proving to be, I mean, they will survive because Burnley and Newcastle are, they're bad. So Leeds will survive, but this is it's a downer of a season. I think it's going to be Bielsa's last.
It's going to be Leeds' last season in the Premier League. I truly believe so. Newcastle will spend some money in January. Sure. Of course, they're going to spend far more than what they would otherwise expect for the defenders that they need. But they will buy somebody and they'll ensure that they stay in the Premier League. Leeds is difficult. Also, they're going to be playing Liverpool next week. So, for people who believe that Salah is blank for 2 game weeks, will definitely not blank for the 3rd. They're playing Leeds.
Salah didn't blank previous game week. He got a goal.
Assist. No, he got an assist, right? Previous.
He got a goal.
He got a goal, is it? No. I want to move to transfers because I'm guessing next week we'll talk about look back half the season, etc. All of that. So, and
it was supposed to be half the season. United have played some 12 games. Tottenham have played some 14 games. Where is
this game in hands? You can't cash for 3 points. Right? You still have to win them.
So, anyways, back to the point. So, I was wondering if we can talk about maybe some of the transfers that may happen in January. I thought we'll
go to Real Madrid, right? That's it. What else is there?
But no, let's talk about January. I think because you spoke about Arsenal a lot, I think they're looking for a player from Juventus. I know Ayer is a big fan. Ayer, you know who I'm talking about, right?
Aaron Ramsey.
No, he's not a passing the parcel. कि free, अच्छा ठीक है 10 रुपए में वापस दे दो, 20 रुपए में वापस ले लो. He's not Pogba that United keep buying.
I'm talking about Kulusevski, right? He hasn't had the best of the since he's only had like 3
Which makes
starts.
him a perfect player for Arsenal. Right?
Correct, right? It's like that is the benchmark that Arsenal is looking for. They've already been in touch with his agent. Probably
A lot of talk from someone who's not even in the top 4. I've noticed.
We'll be in the top 4. Don't worry. We
But-
don't
but-
need
but
to be in the
clearly
top 4 to
the-
kind of get players.
The
right?
links to both Kulusevski and before him as well, Vlahovic, who's killing it in Serie A currently, but there'll be a lot of suitors for him. Yeah, there'll be a lot of suitors for him. I think that's because of probably the main transfer story is that Aubameyang has been put on the market pretty much, which was very expected. So he will leave, and this is basically a like-for-like replacement. They'll have to get someone in, right? Like Martinelli is in a good
But
patch,
they have the record signing Pepe, who had a fantastic game
in the
Last
Carabao
night.
Cup. Yeah.
last night.
I think
so-
Pepe is going to go to France for like 20-25 million. If someone pays for that, they'll take it.
25 million, that's it?
Yeah, I think that's more number of assists and goals put together that he scored. So I think it's okay.
So yeah, Oba, what about is Lacazette leaving or no? Now with Oba definitely.
No,
Lacazette's
Lacazette
contract
is
is out.
authority
Yeah.
figure. So he might just
And
get
his
like a
contract
1-year
runs out.
extension. I think
I think the problem is these clubs here give 1-year extensions. If he looks abroad, he may get a good deal for 3 years somewhere, paying a pretty good amount. So it all depends. And if I was Arsenal, he's been playing very well. I would keep him, even if I want to buy a better striker, and you should buy a better striker.
Yeah.
But I would try and keep Lacazette for a couple of years, a year at least.
A year at least, yeah, because that transition period will also happen. Oba will leave. Like if both of them leave, then who will tag us in Instagram post, right? Like the like count will fall really steeply. So let's not let go of the engagements. Let one Ferrari go. We'll keep the Volkswagen for a bit, let it churn on, and then we'll sell it for whatever lemons go
Oh, talking about Ferrari and players making a lot of money, what is Rudiger going to do?
for. He's
He
going
wants
to go to Madrid.
Real Madrid. So
He will go to Madrid.
from what I read and not on WhatsApp, is that he's looking at some 400,000 euros or pounds a week salary, which will probably make him the second highest paid defender. I think Ramos is still the highest paid defender. Even Van Dijk doesn't make that kind of money. That is the
But
only
it's-
problem. He wants more money. That's
He's
why he wants
cashing
to.
in, right? He's not going to get any other move.
Well, we
like-
could go to Madrid, right, for free. They got Alaba, paid him a lot of salary, who's the second.
No, which
highest
is
paid
exactly
defender
what
right
I'm
now.
saying. Which is also what happened with Thiago, right? Same deal. So I think it should be fine. He's just looking for a big payoff.
So he will move in January, you're saying.
Absolutely moving in January. I
But
think
like,
Chelsea
will-
also have.
Will Madrid take him in Jan or what? Like, will they do a pre-contract or whatever?
I think Madrid will, because they also need backup at the back. Plus, they are 18 points clear. Like, I don't know why we keep talking about Barcelona. It's not like City is number one, so we're talking about Chelsea. Talking about United, right? Like, there's 6 is so far apart, so we don't do that.
Hey.
So I think Sevilla and Atletico Madrid are closer. I think they're 38 and 33 points, something like that, and Madrid is 43 or something like that. So I think that wouldn't hurt to at least cash in on the La Liga and also win the Champions League, is I'm guessing a goal.
Oh, so he's going to leave a Champions European winning team to go to a team that is going to win the league this time. Not bad, yeah? So he's going to be on the move. Who else? Sterling is probably not on the move. I don't think Pep is going to sell Sterling.
Who's
in
going to
January.
buy Sterling? Tell me that.
No, I mean, there were talks of him to Barcelona or whatever else, but I don't think January.
Really?
is the right
Sterling to
time.
Barcelona? Really?
Yeah, they were.
But it's the old age home for everyone who's not playing well.
But interestingly, they do want Ferran Torres.
Ferran Torres apparently signed a deal already, right?
Are you allowed to? Is that
Like the pre-transfer deal, like you only move in. Like he's not featured for City the entire while, right?
But he's hurt. That's why
So
he got
I-
hurt
so-
on international duty.
So when Guardiola came to City, they thought Barcelona will become a feeder club for City, but that's not happened. But Eric
It's become
Garcia
the
has
other way
moved
around.
from here to there. Aguero has moved to Barcelona. Now there are talks about like Sterling was there, and Garcia definitely moved. Not Garcia. Ferran Torres is certainly moving. I think there's some 10-15 million whatever that they're figuring out. But this has become a feeder club for Barcelona now. Very
I'm
weird.
not sure.
I don't know if that's the
sending
definition of feeder club. Yeah.
Eric Garcia to a club necessarily improves that club that he is going.
Or anyone else that you mentioned, for that matter.
For Ferran
Obama,
Torres is fine.
Ferran Torres, sure. Is he
Yeah.
like a La Masia graduate?
No.
Is that the same?
He's not.
He's
no,
not.
no,
Okay.
No.
Okay, he wasn't allowed then, so maybe this is his homecoming in some way. So he's like, "Hey, dekho, kya karke dikhaya?" But anyone else, like Sterling, is not really in the peach of a form in any sense of the word. Aubameyang, I mean, peach rehne do, form rehne do, none of that exists. He's not even
Troublemaker.
captain.
He's a troublemaker.
He's just coming late. That is all that he does. I mean, that is not really troublemaking, right? Then you were a troublemaker at college, so that doesn't really count. But who else, right? Barcelona is lagging behind. They don't have the money. Time lagega. It'll be a project for the next 5 years at least.
5 years. The Super League will not happen for 5 years, Vishnu.
Hey, now biannual World Cup is going to happen.
No, but let's move on. We'll do FPL after the break. Before that, I just want to close one topic is about players and indiscipline, which Jack Grealish is the poster boy of apparently. Are your favorite?
I'm going to stop you there.
Okay.
We keep saying Jack Grealish, but I think this chocolate boy Phil Foden, he seems to be the main trouble.
Yes,
remember with
thank
Mason
you.
Greenwood, the
Poor
comic
Mason Greenwood.
Yeah, and now I would like to say poor Jack Grealish as well. I think everyone seems to come under this influence of Phil Foden. So I think the problem is Foden and not any of these other guys.
I think Grealish has
investigative journalism only on Football Shootball.
The Daily Mirror is already calling me to ask for articles. Like it's
so there's one. So I mean,
can you give us a quick review of the highlights, please?
But here's the deal, okay? So the two of them went out on a Saturday after the match was won. This was also the same day I think Pep Guardiola flew out of the club to go for
Aguero's game.
Yeah. So your boss is going out of town. He's taking a day off. So I mean, the two of them just decided to go have a night out. Yeah, I don't see what
Why were they training on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, and apparently they showed up bad for training. I want to see those photos rather than the photos of the night out. I want to see them with the saggy eyes and the bloodshot.
Desperate.
I'm not sure about you will find Foden's picture there, but there are enough of Grealish's pictures out on the internet with him sleeping on a bench, etc. So there was somebody.
Karthik has already. If you look at Karthik browser history, it's just Grealish hot pics. PIX.
hot calves. So he's so I was talking. There was one speaker. I don't know whether he was a host or a guest on one of the BT Sport podcast, and he called Grealish moron. I mean, you need balls. You're a journalist in the UK for you to call a player who's going to play for England for quite a few years going forward and has had a massive transfer is still a good player for you to call him.
And
a
he
moron.
looks like he could be part of the Peaky Blinders. Like those are
that too.
Like
that too.
So
that true.
Should be very.
But
very
he wears a hairband, so that disarms you, right? Slightly.
And he hangs around with Phil Foden.
Yeah, the 17-year-old boy that he hangs out. No, now 21. I'm guessing 17 World Cup has been a while now because he played. See, Phil Foden played in Balewadi. No, Balewadi. No, what is that? DY Patil. ठीक है. तो अपना ही लड़का है. थोड़ा दारू तो चलता है ना मतलब.
He was corrupted when he was in Mumbai. Maybe he was. Like
hey, no, Mumbai may not allowed to drink under 21, so I don't think that happened in Mumbai at all. I think it's UK जाके बिगड़ गया, abroad जाके. He's hanging with the wrong kind.
Yeah,
Kyle Walker doesn't have play anyway.
I'm sure they would have taken him for some party. You remember when Ed Sheeran came and he was with all these
Bollywood
my
God,
guys
he looked so sad. He looked so sad. You remember when Pharrell Williams came for Holi to launch the Adidas Boost. I don't remember what shoes they were. Basically, they look like someone had played Holi in them, and they were selling those. So he was in a lot of pictures of Holi. He just looked so sad that everyone was making him do all those things. Like if you remember, Al Pacino, was it, or De Niro had come to India, and that and Anil Kapoor had put up a photo with him, and De Niro didn't give a shit. Like, these guys are telling him. I think they did some podcast or something. They were talking about it. Ranveer Singh was telling the story where he was saying, I watched your work, I watched Taxi Driver, and I watched this. He doesn't get who these people are. And great, you watched the movie. What do you want me to do?
You think when he told him I watched Taxi Driver, De Niro replied, "No, do gyara."
Oh my God, that was a dog day afternoon for him. That's an Al Pacino movie. Sorry. Al Pacino movie.
It's fine. They're all this Italian heritage and our same.
Yeah, fair enough. Godfather.
DiCaprio, De Niro, Pacino. It's all allowed.
Same.
I'll tell you what, let's take a break. Let's come back and also talk about FPL because I did well this week. Also, and Shivram, I know you have an announcement. There is something of interest for FPL players, especially people like me who've just used a wild card.
So Big Bazaar जैसा announcement क्यों कर रहे हो?
End of season wild card, whatever. I don't know what to call it. Let's take a break. Let's come on the other side.
Hey, it's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On the Wire Talks, it's all about the Beatles. Oliver Krasky, author and freelance editor who has closely worked with the famous band in the past, tells Siddharth why they're so loved even today. On All Things Policy, the folks at the Takshashila Institute discuss Russia's motives, why it's insecure with the G2, and the logic behind its growing alliance with China. On Paisa Vaisa, Anupam is joined by Nikhil Agarwal. He is the co-founder and CEO of Grip Invest, and they discuss the working of lease and inventory finance in India. The Simplified Gang speaks to author Suman Srivastava about her new book, Don't Beg, Inspire. And on the Filter Coffee podcast studio, Swapna, founder of Kathavani, talks to Karthik about mythological storytelling for children. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter, please do tell a friend. Go check out our YouTube channels. We go live on a whole bunch of different things. We have a number of different channels. You can find them on ivmpodcast.com/YouTube. And finally, we'd like to thank our sponsors this week: Cred, Bank of Baroda, CoinSwitch Kuber, Intel, and Oxfam India. Thank you for making this possible.
I did very well this time. I did extremely well. I was just 1 point below average or above average, which is almost the same.
That is a life story. That is the name of your autobiography. 1 point above average.
So it could be below also. I have to check again now. But I used a free hit. No, much above the average. Oh, this notification was wrong. Oh no, I did much better than I got 58 points, which is like fantastic.
Which is awesome for someone who played a free hit with only 10 people. Tell me, how did you manage that? Because, so for anyone who doesn't know, and Karthik, a free hit is basically for that one game week, you can switch out all your players for no hits. And then the following week, your team comes back, right? So it's a free hit. It's literally that. Like in cricket, like you can't be out on a free hit, right? Except if you're run out. So this is one of those things. You are expected to have 11 playing people. If you have the opportunity to change your entire team, you still ended up with 10. How did you manage that?
Because I knew I could not take anybody from Wolves.
Okay.
And I didn't know that the Aston Villa game will get cancelled. So I had 2 Aston Villa players. I thought, koi bhi ek nahi hai, to dusra Aston Villa player target would come in. But because Watkins was on my team, and that's why I ended up playing with 10. But otherwise, my team was full fadu, man. Foden was my
but it is a free hit.
But
so the news from FPL, which is just breaking, is that you will get an additional free hit chip. So it's really smart that you created that game week. I actually saved it because there are a bunch of double game weeks coming up. And now Sapre has the opportunity to play it again. So that gives him an upper hand in some way. I don't think so because it's still Sapre. No, so the chips can only do so much.
Correct.
But the fact is there are also
you have 2. And I have just 1 left, and you will have 2. It's just that you can't play in consecutive game weeks.
So there is an expectation that in game week 21. So we are in game week 19 now on this Sunday, followed by Boxing Day, which will be game week 20. 21 and 22 might be double game weeks. So you will have this like one team playing 2 games. So a bunch of teams will go through that. That is a good time to play a free hit because then I'm sure everyone is now looking at Son. If not at Kane for more points. But yeah, that is a good way to do it. But yeah, let's quickly talk about the Football Shootball League as well. You can join this league. Go to fantasy.premierleague.com. Type in 3HDRUY. That's 3HDRUY. You can come join us. Show us what you got. Right now, the top 5 are very consistent. They just keep exchanging places between themselves, which is pissing off. Number 1, Tangled in Blue, Ishan Ganguly, 1,230 points. This is not allowed, so you're disqualified. Number 2, Varan Bhat, Siddharth Bane, 1205, again over 1200, disqualified. Globetrotters FC has fallen from his perch, Taha Dahoudwala, 1193 points. 4th is FC Veramari, Ashwin Pichai, 1189 points. And 5th is Junkies FC, Shitish Pangal, his returning name. He's on 1186 points. I didn't do well because I didn't take a free hit. So my entire punt on going, all out on Aston Villa didn't really work out because the game got postponed just before end of the game week, as in just before the deadline. So I got only 37, which is 2 below average. But I had Alonso, I had James, and I had Alexander-Arnold in defense. Jota scored, Salah didn't score. He was my vice because Foden didn't play. So between all of them, it's not that bad a score. But yeah, I'm looking forward to what's coming up. A lot of fun fixtures coming up. What I would also recommend is,
what is fun in this fixture? There's no
Liverpool play Leeds. Liverpool play Leeds. Watford play Wolves.
How is Watford versus Wolves a fun fixture?
If it's not 3-0, change my name.
3-0 to Wolves.
To Watford, Ray.
It definitely won't be 3-0 to Watford. I want
Which is why I'm putting a bet, na? If it was that obvious.
I can't name the episode right. What do I think of?
So Man City, Leicester. Then there's Norwich playing Arsenal. I mean, come on. It'll be a blockbuster week for Martinelli. Aston Villa playing Chelsea. And then Newcastle's playing United, which is boring. But Tottenham are playing Crystal Palace. So that's fun.
You said what? Newcastle's playing?
Hopefully United.
In some future timeline, they'll play United.
No, they are. Newcastle are not playing. That means this weekend.
Yeah, Newcastle are not playing, so don't worry about it. United are going to work from home as they have for a very long period. Even the following weekend, which is a lot of games, because this is the 28th December. One day I think all the games happen. No, I think Wednesday and Thursday it happens. So 2 games. But there's Brentford playing City. I haven't seen Brentford play in a really long time because they had, I think, 1 game against United. So I forgot how they play. But Arsenal play Wolves. So it'll be a fun game for me.
Oh, so you think Leicester have City and Pool back-to-back?
Yeah, they are going to get slaughtered.
Wow. Where are they in the table right now? Are they even?
They're not very high. They're pretty low in the table as far as I can remember.
Oh my God,
Leicester
are
9th. Yeah. Oh, I mean, for you, they're competition. I didn't mean they're low. In general, I mean, they're low for the top 4 is what I mean.
I was going to say we have games in hand, but so do Leicester. So,
but again, I hate to repeat myself, but you have to win those games.
Which we will win. Ralph Yagnik will do some job. Don't worry.
So I've actually kept Ronaldo on my team. So we'll find out. Plus, I got Martinelli in this week because I think
I got Martinelli too. Yeah. Plus, he didn't play I was hoping he wouldn't play midweek, which he didn't.
He didn't. And Emil Smith-Rowe played, I think, 70-80 minutes. So that's again, he's not going to start. Yeah.
It's nice to have 3 Arsenal players. All of them are like cheaper than the other big teams, and
which is the point of it, right? This is the budget buys you get. Plus, Ramsdale and White have been giving me 6-pointers since forever. So I'm just going to hang on to them for the rest of the season. Ramsdale actually currently has more points per million than Martinez done for the whole of last season, where he was the standout goalkeeper. So he was the budget buy that thankfully I jumped on early. I think
Tomiyasu, thankfully, unfortunately, he was taken off, but just after
fortunately, right? Because then,
for me, but unfortunately for him, he's been a consistent starter for the team, and he was like,
what a player, man! What a lovely player. I think we should talk about Tomiyasu next game. This time he was so good.
Didn't Ian Wright lose his shit on some journalist who had a few things to say about Tomiyasu?
They said Tomiyasu, when Arsenal was signing him, they said Tomiyasu was offered to a bunch of clubs, but they didn't know if he was right back or centre back. He wasn't dependable. No one knows how he plays. So that was the joke that the other journalist was making. Ian Wright, clearly you saw him play in that game. He stopped someone from taking a shot from a cross. Then he tackled someone from Leeds who won the ball. Then he put the ball past the third player and crossed him, like Mark Bartra and Bale. And then he got tackled. So fantastic move overall. But I think Tomiyasu proved his worth just with that move. The other player in right back is Bellerin, right? So we've not had our luck with right backs. I don't know if you remember, Carl Jenkinson was also a right back. I think the only dependable right back before was Bakary Sagna, which was a long time ago. So I don't remember anyone being as dependable. I think Chambers played there for a bit, but that's about it.
Cedric played left back, is it?
Cedric, I don't know where he plays, so I don't even look to bother.
No wonder Ian Wright doesn't pick up.
No, Tavares and Tierney play left back. Cedric can double up as right back.
Got it. Cool. I think there's a lot about football. I was gonna call this episode Zalzala, not because of what happened in football, because nothing happened in football apart from the most entertaining game.
The greatest match of the season so far.
But Zalzala, because while I don't like to admit, I'm gonna admit sometimes cricket can be better than football, especially when someone like R. Ashwin comes out and gives an interview. Right? I know you've been trying to dissect the interview in every way possible. You're a big Kohli defender and Ashwin defender, so I don't know how you're going to react to this. But what
has he said? Enlighten me. I don't know what this is about.
I was like, nobody supported me through my injuries. I was taken to a series. Yeah, I was taken to a series which I thought or almost knew it would be my last, and I had to still sit out and watch the games, etc. So, he couldn't say anything to Kohli directly, probably because Kohli is still part of the playing 11. But a lot of it was directed towards the former manager of the team, Ravi Shastri. That's what I got out of it. I'm not about like Kohli's toxicity or whether he's, but it's just very well articulated. B, just like felt slightly sad for Ashwin, who's had a pretty good career outside of IPL for the Indian cricket team. But I don't know what more to make of that article. What are has it made some ripples in the cricketing world? And like, is Boria Majumdar out of his chair and doing something? What is happening there? I don't know. Can you just like throw some light?
All I'll say is Siddharth Munga is a very close friend, so I'm very happy that the interview is doing well and people are reading and talking about it.
Oh, it's on ESPN, is it?
Yeah. And I'm happy that he's getting praise for the interview. The actual content of the interview, it's good. I'll just tell Munga that it's about 8,000 words, Munga. So it's a bit, I take a few days.
He always writes. He does. Like 10,000 words. I remember one article which was last year. I've completely forgotten what it was about, but it was spectacular. And I remember sending it to you, saying, very foolishly sending it to you, saying, "Pada kya?" But also not foolishly because obviously you didn't read it. It was longer than my dissertation. So if you can pass that on to Mr. Munga, that I have, written few words for graduating from my masters, then he wrote for an average article on a Wednesday. So little lighter is fine. Maybe a TLDR at the top would be great.
Ashutosh Gowarikar. How do you feel? Ashutosh
Gowarikar. Just say Gowarikar. There's no T. Yeah.
But what is happening? Is it true? Is it just he's making up shit? Not Munga, but Ashwin.
I think everything Ashwin spoke is true. And if he says he was feeling upset, he was feeling upset. It is also one person's point of view. No, Virat Kohli is not coming and giving an interview like this. So
he's not responding.
He's waiting for the press to come and put mics in front of him, right?
Only going to be speculation.
Is your camera falling apart? What is happening?
Snorri cam shoot.
Hey, did you see that circle of cricket wala tweet that Dada is standing by? What a wonderful statement to put out from your from whatever endorsement you have. It says life has no tension, only girlfriends and wives give tension. First of all, how do you say and? I think it should be or. I think that is the first pop-up.
It's coming from him.
Like Donna is reading some of this, right? I'm sure.
Last thing before we go back to football a little, I just want to give a shout out to Sergio Aguero. He retired and he was arguably the greatest striker of the last 10 years. I don't think there's any argument there. The best goals per game, goals per minutes ratio in the Premier League ever, and he scored 200 and plenty. So and probably the most iconic moment ever in
Balotelli to Aguero against QPR. Aguero, that's you. If you just type Aguero right on Google, the additional 4 rows automatically appear. Like they know what you're looking for. They know exactly what you're looking for. You can do this on YouTube also. Everyone is just like Aguero is just iconic.
Yes.
By the way, I also have a shout out for the Italy World Cup film that is out on, I think, Netflix. It's called the Nerazzurri Road to Final. It's a lovely film. It's got a lot of BTS. You see Mancini being his self. He says, he's standing against it like a team sheet, and he's like, he basically writes the Belgium squad, and then he turns the page saying, "Don't worry about this." Then he starts talking about them, and then he doesn't say, like, he's not getting angry.
He wrote Romelu Lukaku's name, and he's like, "Hey, okay, okay, don't worry about it."
He wrote in hindsight, it worked out. But he basically just turns the page and said, "Wo chodo, ye dekho." Okay, so then he's listing the team out, and it's fantastic. Like you see Spinazzola behind the scenes, and it's a lovely documentary for footage that you obviously haven't seen because a lot of BTS. But other than that, I don't think I've seen better World Cup films. I've seen better European films. But this was okay. But it's good for someone who just wants to watch a light touch hour 15 minutes movie. Cool movie to watch.
Okay, since both of you have given shout-outs, I think I should also give a shout-out. I don't know to whom because I saw this as a meme on Twitter, so I don't know the journalist or the pundit's name. But both Aguero came to City in 2011, in the summer of 2011. And an English legend was also transferred in the January of 2011, which was Andy Carroll. And somebody said Aguero may or may not be a success, but Andy Carroll is the one to watch. Shout out to him for bold predictions. That's that. Yeah. We'll come up next week with exciting matches as per Shivram. Hopefully exciting matches. Hopefully some matches
will be there. You have to watch. So up to you.
Yeah. I hope United plays even if it's against Newcastle. So let's see where it goes. Because
So close to Christmas, I doubt it.
Rashford has to go feed everyone in this period.
He's the Santa that everyone's waiting for.
Yeah.
Let's see how it goes. All right, thank you guys. Pleasure as always. See you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye. So if you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on our social media handles. We are at IVM Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to reach out to me, I'm Fickleberry Hun on Twitter and Instagram. That's Huckleberry Finn, but Fickle. If you want to reach out to me, I am Sapre on Twitter and Sapre on Instagram.
You can reach out to me at iRant, which is IYERANT on Twitter and Instagram. This is Football Shootball. Recognize.
Namaste, this is Cyrus Brocha. I am part of the government cancel culture program to remove rubbish off all the different streams available. So what we have is all the collected rubbish we put together on our show. It's called Cyrus Says. It's on IVM Podcast. You have to watch it and listen to it. It's on our app. It's on our website. It's on the YouTube channel. It's on Facebook. There are many different ways. Don't bother me and ask me how. You have to find out. We talk to different personalities. Many of them are known. Some are just people we meet downstairs and invite them up for chai. But the point is, it's fun and it's very therapeutic. So please join in and listen to Cyrus Says.
Do you like true crime stories?
Do you like to learn about the people behind some horrible, awful crimes?
More specifically, women that may have committed these crimes.
Actually, Indian criminals that are women?
Then we'd like to welcome you to our podcast, Misconduct. My name is Raghavi.
And I am Nisha.
We cover themes like murder, dacoity, drug trafficking, financial fraud, kidnapping, and many more.
You can catch us every Wednesday on the IVM Podcast Network or wherever you get your podcast.